How's it going, guys? I'm Ali Fucio. Today, I'll be starting a new video series called Gym Review, and that's primarily because, and it's aptly named, I will be reviewing all of the major gyms here in Metro Manila, starting it off with Anytime Fitness Pioneer Center. The reason why I wanted to start off with this branch is because I believe this is the first branch of Anytime Fitness to have opened here in the Philippines, and that was way back in 2014. I know they had some renovations, but nonetheless, this is a great start to this series wherein I really will be reviewing a lot of their branches. But if you thought that I'd only be doing Anytime Fitness, you are wrong, because though it might not be the smartest financial decision I'll be making, I will be enrolling in all of the major gyms here in the Philippines. So of course, I'm already a member here at Anytime Fitness. I will enroll to Fitness First, Goals Gym, other maybe Surge, Lifestyle and Fitness, all of those big gyms, even the smaller gyms, I will pay the enrollment fee, I will pay for the membership fee, all because for two reasons. One, that sounds fun. And two, because I want to make good suggestions, good recommendations to anyone out there who is looking to be a member in a gym, and hopefully this series of videos will be able to help you guys out make a smart decision. Nonetheless, I will be starting off with Anytime Fitness Pioneer Center. Here in Gym Review, we have 4 main criteria to guide us in giving our overall review of the gym. First up, we have location. This is where we discuss how accessible the gym actually is and if there are any worthwhile establishments nearby. Next up, we have to talk about the condition of the gym itself. This is where we will talk about how well the equipment is maintained, as well as how clean and tidy the gym is. Afterwards, we'll talk about the pricing of the gym, as well as the available payment methods. And finally, everyone's favorite, we have to talk about the available equipment that the gym has. And since every gym goer has their specific goals and training methods, we'll talk about the equipment from 4 different training perspectives: general strength and conditioning, powerlifting, bodybuilding, and finally, weightlifting. The location of Anytime Fitness Pioneer Center is crazy good because there's a full-sized supermarket underneath this branch. So after your workout, you can easily go down to the supermarket and get your groceries. You can also go to any of the nearby restaurants for your pre or your post-workout meal. Another reason why I like the location of this branch is because the parking lot is huge and you can park here for free. That's pretty good as compared to other gyms that are placed in malls. So of course, you have to pay for parking fee. And we all know that parking fees can add up week by week and month by month. So with all of that in mind, the location of this branch gets a perfect 10 out of 10 for me. Now, the condition of this gym, up front, I can say that it's not a perfect 10 out of 10. Although it was a relatively clean gym, there were a lot of obviously old pieces of equipment, withered attachments, damaged upholstery, and beaten up plates. But you can't blame this branch so much because it is almost 10 years old. At first, I didn't really like that the damaged upholstery of some of these machines were remedied with just duct tape because, of course, as you use it, some of the sticky adhesive would get on your skin, and of course, that's not really comfortable. But I do have to appreciate that this branch did take the time and the effort to put some remedy to the damaged upholstery because other branches would just leave it as is, like as damaged as it is. Also, since some of the plates were beaten up, the center holes of these plates were really, damaged. They were really withered. They were wider than originally. So that was really a problem for my deadlifts because it would really wobble during each set. And it didn't help the fact that, the barbell locks that they had weren't really the most secure as well. So my own personal fix was to bring my own high quality barbell locks so that I can lock all the plates in place so it wouldn't be wobbling during my deadlifts. Now, with regards to the bathroom, it's a pretty standard bathroom that is, it's adequately maintained. And a big plus is that the bidet was working. Unlike other branches, there are no bidets or the bidets aren't working. All in all, though it's not a perfect 10 out of 10, the fact that everything was functional and nothing was actually broken in this 9-year-old gym, this gym gets a 7 out of 10 for its condition. For pricing, the usual monthly rate of Anytime Fitness goes for around 2,500 pesos per month. But if it's your first time to sign up, you'll be hit with a 2,500 joining fee and an additional 2,500 just for their key fob. So their key fob is unique to them because that's the device that you'll be bringing whenever you go to any of their branches, whether that be within the Philippines or any other branch worldwide. So right off the bat, you already have to pay 7,500 pesos on your first month just to sign up. I know that it can be rather expensive for some people for a first time payment, but once you get past that, the 2,500 pesos monthly rate is a pretty good deal if you are able to fully utilize all the benefits that comes with becoming an Anytime Fitness member, like using any branch worldwide, as well as being able to use the gym literally anytime, hence the name Anytime Fitness, because it is a 24/7 gym. So as long as you're able to utilize all those perks, it does become a fair price. So with all those perks in mind, you do get a lot of value when becoming a member of Anytime Fitness, but it's hard to ignore that the joining fee and the key fob fee is quite expensive for a lot of people for a first time payment. So with that in mind, I will have to give Anytime Fitness a 7 out of 10 for their pricing. Now let's talk about what everyone wants to know. How's the equipment of this branch? To start things off, here's a full list of all of the equipment, all of the machines that you can find in Anytime Fitness Pioneer Center. As mentioned, since we all have our own respective goals, I will be rating this gym from 4 different training perspectives. First one up would be the perspective of general strength and conditioning, or in other words, general fitness. I would immediately give it a 10 out of 10 rating. Not only because it basically has all the equipment that you might need for general fitness, but this branch has a pretty huge group class area. It's a very big open space, so you can do a lot of your athletic work or quote unquote functional work without worrying about space. On top of that, there are 3 cable stations that you can use, which is actually a pretty huge deal because most gyms, most other branches or other franchises only have 1 cable station, which does make it a hassle, especially if you go during peak hours. Everyone will really be trying to get their chance to use that station. So the fact that this branch has 3 cable stations, automatically it is going to get a 10 out of 10 rating from me. So overall, if you're into just getting into shape, I would highly recommend going to this branch. But now, in the context of powerlifting, this branch gets a 4 out of 10. I mean, without a doubt, you will still be able to do all your squat, all your bench, and all your deadlift. You'll be able to do all of those, but it might not be the most convenient place for you to do so. Right off the bat, there are only 2 racks and 2 barbells. So it's basically up to luck if you're going to be able to use the rack the moment you arrive at the gym, because everyone's going to want to use those racks and bars. I personally had to wait 25 minutes when I went to this gym because, again, there were people using it. I just had to patiently wait for my turn. But of course, that took 25 minutes out of my own training time, so which is, of course, a hassle. And as I mentioned, I noticed while I was deadlifting, the condition of the plates weren't that great. So I really didn't like the fact that the plates were wobbling. So I really have to make sure that I bring my high quality barbell lock so I can lock the plates into place so it's not going to like wobble and move side to side. Because if it did, it can make my set harder and it can potentially injure me because of the asymmetry of the weights. Another non-ideal scenario that you might run into is that there aren't a lot of plates in this branch. So if there are multiple powerlifters, or if there are people using the chest press, the leg press, the Smith machine, the chest supported row, this branch will immediately run out of plates. So if you're a strong lifter that consistently lifts over 200 kilograms, you are going to run into that problem. And while we're talking about plates, I do have to mention that there's only 1 pair of bumper plates, which are 25 kilos each. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because all the other plates, even if it's 20 kilograms or 25 kilograms, it is smaller than competition standard for deadlifts. So Basically, if you don't use those bumper plates, you will be lifting a deficit deadlift the entire time. I mean, of course, that can be a good variation, but if you want to train close to competition standard, you will have to be extremely lucky to make sure that you'll have access to those 25 kilo bumper plates. The last thing that powerlifters might not really like about training in this gym is that the spotter arms of their squat racks are kind of too high, even at the lowest point. So this is going to be an issue for especially like short powerlifters, and when you're squatting, you might actually hit the spotter arms with the bar, especially if your depth is really good. And if you're a bencher with a very pronounced arch, as you bring the bar down, and you probably might hit the spotter arms first before your chest. So it's definitely not ideal, especially if you want to bench heavy. Again, overall, you will still be able to get the job done. You'll be able to squat, bench, and deadlift, but it's not an ideal scenario. So again, this branch only gets a 4 out of 10 when it comes to powerlifting. However, for bodybuilders, I would definitely give this gym a 9 out of 10 rating. Aside from having all the machines necessary to hit every single muscle group, once again, the fact that there are 3 cable machines available to you here is a huge deal. I mean, sure, machines or all the other fixed machines are great, but the versatility that you get from these machines are really, really great. But the reason why I did not give this a 10 out of 10 rating is because it didn't have, the uncommon machines that a lot of bodybuilders or a lot of lifters like. So for example, there was no pendulum squat, there was no hack squat machine, no dedicated calf raise machine, no lateral raise machine. I mean, sure, those machines are great, and that would possibly make it a 10 out of 10, but just because this branch didn't get it or doesn't have them, I would have to give it a 9 out of 10 rating, which is still a pretty good rating for all the bodybuilders out there. And finally, for weightlifters, no doubt, this branch only gets a 1 out of 10 rating. I mean, on top of the fact that there are only 2 bars and 2 racks available to you, there are no weightlifting platforms, and there's only that 1 pair of bumper plates. So it's really not an ideal. It's far from an ideal place for a weightlifter to train. I mean, you can still practice, like you can still do your skill work, you can do your light work here, but you can't do your main work here without a doubt because there are no platforms for you to drop it. And for the other lifters that are lifting below 70 kilos or that 25 kilo plate pair, you won't be able to practice it at all. So yeah, pretty straightforward. If you're a weightlifter, best to look for another gym and not this branch. So averaging the scores from all the perspectives of these training perspectives, this gym gets a 6 out of 10 for its equipment. Now that we've gotten all the scores, the overall rating that I would give this gym is a 7.5 out of 10. It's not a perfect branch, that's for sure, but since it does have a great location with some decent upkeep and, pretty decent or fair pricing, I would say that this gym is still a pretty solid branch for most people to get most of their workouts in. So that's it for the first episode. Please let me know which gym you'd want me to review next here on Gym Review.